What's up, everyone? I'm Joe Lemon. Thank you so much for tuning into the Real Value Exchange. And you know what? I've done this before, but I got to go back to it. I believe I'm going to flip my channel back to my personal brand under the Joe Lemon Experience. I'm actually recording this on the move. It's just more authentic. It's just more real. And it seems just to make more sense, honestly, for everything I'm doing. My conversations are always more relaxed. I don't just talk about business and what people are up to, even though that's a portion of what we always cover about how they're growing and how they're and the challenges and growth and some of the new tactics and around sales and marketing. That's my interest and that's where it lies. So that's where a lot of you guys, I'm sure, tune in for. But with that, you know, there's a human element that's always there. And I'm so pumped to have Kazi, the Cleaver Programmer, come back onto the Real Value Exchange because he's had a couple shifts in his life. And I think they're going to really work out well for him. So I'll let him go into the details of that. You guys sit back, enjoy this, rate it, subscribe it, love it. And with that said, hit me up. Let me know your thoughts on this brand new shift and the brand new move to go back to personal branding. I'm at Joe Alex Lemon on all major platforms. Enjoy the show with Kazi, the Cleaver Programmer.
Why would you limit yourself just to red beets when you can have red spinach, aronia, beets, turmeric, ginger, mango extract, and inulin in the one serving of Resync? The new proprietary natural formula loaded with healthy extracts to support your daily vitality for savvy and health-conscious people just like you.
Dude, this is round 2, man.
Yeah.
You are the first person to have a back-to-back, or a 2-episode experience on the Real Value Exchange, brother. So welcome back, Kazi.
Thank you.
What up, bro?
I appreciate it.
Dude, this is good, man.
Yeah, this is exciting.
I mean, man, so you have to catch me up on your life. You got to let me know kind of where you've been. How's your whole thought process been since the last time we kind of spoke? Because you had a lot of moving pieces and you got this whole vision for your business and where you're going.
Right.
So just dive into it, brother.
Yeah, so a lot has been going on since we last spoke. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, it's that you have to prioritize things. And so what I mean by that is we have health. Like there's certain things that are really important, right? So if we break them down, there's health, there are relationships, there's business, and those are the big categories. Those are the 3 things. I call it HBP, health, business, personal.
HBP, okay.
Yeah, and so every day, I write about how the HBP is doing, kind of like a little evaluation.
Almost like a journaling type of setup?
Right, yeah, okay. Like a little journaling setup or free conscious stream of consciousness writing, just like free flow.
Yeah.
And what I realized is every time I would talk about my health or fitness, every single time. And as I look back in my previous journals or my previous diaries, I realized that I'm always talking about my health. Mm-hmm. But I have also said internally, I would say things like, I'll focus on my health when X, Y, or Z.
If then type of thinking.
Yes, like when my business starts doing well, I'll focus on my health. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Then I'll go all in. Mm-hmm. Right now I just need to wait. Or when something happens in my relationship, I'll go to the next level in health.
Yeah.
And so health is the number one thing because that's where everything comes from. Like you and I and people who are entrepreneurs, we're magicians. We are the asset. We create something out of nothing.
100%.
So
yeah, we are. Yeah, let's go and look.
So while I have the business Clever Programmer and have a personal brand, and that's great and it's powerful and I love it, but that doesn't mean that it's worth more than my own health,
right?
Or your business is worth more than your health.
Yeah,
and so you got to prioritize that, I think, as number one, and then everything coming from there. So you almost have to say, I'd rather sacrifice my business than my health. That's what I used to say.
This is an interesting place that you're at, man. How do you get to this point because I mean, the very last time we were, you were on the show, we were talking, and it's going to drop tomorrow actually. But it's like, I know that you have these ambitions for your company as well. Like, how'd you move from that to, let me go back, insular?
It's very tough because business takes everything. Like when I was building it, it was taking about 18 hours a day from me.
Right.
I would get in my office at 5 a.m. I would leave at 12 a.m. and then I'd sleep for a few hours and then I'd do it again.
And you're doing everything like with your business too, for the most part, right? Because you're the programmer, right? And you're
so
getting back to your members and everything else, customer service a lot.
That's what I was doing before, completely, like all on my own.
Yeah.
Now we have a few people for customer service, but I still have to do it.
Sure.
So managing the group, to doing customer service, to creating the video content, to actually knowing how to code, to the research and development process for creating the new modules, to like what, customer research, like everything,
Man, if you don't mind me just jumping in for a little bit, because now I'm curious.
Yeah.
Because one of the biggest things that I struggle with is having systems in place.
Yes.
Especially like just structure, organize. I do this at this time. I, drop this content consistently. It's just the biggest struggle for me right now, bro.
Yeah.
Do you have like those things laid out for you? I mean, I know everybody talks that you have to have that in place, but is that how you roll?
Systems is definitely a hard part. And the type of personality that, you and I might have is maybe not even that good for creating systems.
Right.
So that's why if you read a book called Rocket Fuel, have you ever read it?
No.
They talk about the visionary and the integrator. And so the integrator is the person who does the day-to-day. They enjoy what they get out of the detail. They enjoy process. They enjoy the order. As a visionary, I like to think in the clouds. I like to come up with an idea. I like chaos. I like uncertainty. And I like to set goals that are probably not achievable, that might demotivate other people, but they actually drive me. Yeah. And so you have to put people, if systematizing your business is a difficult thing, which it is
100%. Yeah.
You need to add somebody on your team who enjoys and thrives from that process. Like I shared this with everybody at this point, but Brian Alexander, one of my friends who is in Chicago, he owns 2 CrossFit businesses.
Okay.
Great guy, has amazing like fitness level, like 8% body fat and just all muscle, and also running an amazing company.
Yeah.
A lot, has 25 people employed under him.
Wow.
And he shared with me this amazing concept of hell, purgatory, and heaven. And so if you write that down, if we write that down on the whiteboard over there, hell, purgatory, and heaven. And so you write down things that put you in hell, that when you do, they drain you and they take away from you. And then you'll write things down in purgatory, which is things like you're indifferent about but efficient in. So you can do them, but it doesn't drive you. And then in heaven are the things that you just enjoy, that you absolutely love doing, and that just give you all the energy in the world. So one of the things that happens sometimes is we might do things that are putting us in hell. For me, it's the day-to-day management of like everything and the scheduling and the systematizing part of it.
Right.
And so that I want to take it and give it to somebody who it doesn't put in hell, but it puts them in heaven.
Right.
And so then I get to do the stuff that puts me in heaven, enjoy the thinking and the vision and all that, and then give them stuff to do that puts them in heaven. And that's really helpful for systematizing your business or whatever your goal is.
Man, I think that's a great way to look at it too, man, because I'm not sure. Well, let's just talk about it, bro.
Yeah.
How do you feel about faith, man? Because a lot of people think, or one thought I should say is that, people do believe that you can have heaven or hell on earth. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's kind of like a thing that you kind of experience now. Is that how you kind of view it too? Or what's your whole thoughts on
Yeah, so I used to be very religious.
Yeah.
I'm not very religious anymore. But regarding heaven and hell on earth, I feel that, who knows, it might actually exist.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that we can create it on earth. And Napoleon Hill, in his book, it's a great book, by the way, so anybody who follows me or follows you should read it. It's called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
I've never heard of that one. Okay.
And it talks about, he has an interview with the devil. And the whole book is actually an interview with the devil. And this interview, he's trying to figure out how the devil controls and what the devil does and what he controls and what he doesn't control. And basically, in between I was going to say the value exchange, but the dialogue exchange that they're having, he figures out that the devil, what the devil does is actually controls your brain and has you drift through life. And the devil calls those peoples who are in his army that the devil has recruited as drifters. And so you might know these people that just go through the motions of life, and they don't spend a lot of time on independent thought. We're taught a lot of dependent thought. And the devil actually says, and that's why Napoleon Hill couldn't release this book back in those days. He wrote it in like 1920s.
Yeah.
They didn't release it till I think after the 70s or 80s or something like that. After he was dead, I believe.
Dude, that's the majority of the population though, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I was having a conversation. I was driving back from Vegas, and I was talking to one of my homeboys who went to high school with, and I was like, man, school is such let me say this right, because I can go pretty left with this. but
go for it, dude.
But dude,
this is the Joe Rogan type of experience. The Joe Lemon experience.
There we go. Hey, it's all the same.
Yeah,
I'll take his ratings. But man, honestly, it's one of those things where they train you in school. Think about this: from kindergarten till 12 years, right? 13 years of school, right? Adding kindergarten there, and it's like, you have to raise your hand to ask a question.
Yes.
Like that you are forced into a seat. Like you are forced to take a seat when kids naturally, I mean, just from a physiological standpoint, I was reading this book also by Kelly Scarrett, and they were talking about how every kid before they get into school knows how to run perfect form. On the balls of their feet, they know how to run. I just started running, so I just started trying to make sure I have good form.
Yeah.
They can do it. By the time they get to the first or second, third grade, after they've been in a desk for about 3 years, they're running from heel to toe. You're not supposed to run like that. Running on your heels puts you on your brakes. Like it slows you down.
Yeah.
Like your body conforms to the desk. It has a natural C shape around the desk so you can write over the desk and everything else, right? And so anyway, long story short, I'm saying that so many things about how they put us through the institution of school tames people, man. And it puts brakes on people's personalities.
100%.
And it encourages people not to ask questions, dude.
Yes.
I can't speak about how it is once you get to the master's or doctoral level, but man, from bachelor's down, oh, dude.
I'm not a fan of the school system at all.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I'm very strong on that. I think it's antiquated, everything. We went from horses to having cars.
Yeah.
We went from having whatever other means of transportation to having airplanes. We went from having no communication to cell phones. Mm-hmm. But look across the history, and we always had the one-to-many thing going on in classrooms with one teacher and multiple students. Yeah. And it was originally created to produce factory workers.
100%.
And it's still that. Fall in line, sit down, be quiet, listen, pay attention. Why are you doing this? A lot of the times I'd be actually researching something, sometimes, or I'd be doing something creative. And that would happen. I'm not saying all teachers are bad. There were a lot of teachers that inspired me like crazy. But what I am saying is that it ends up killing independent thought, because it teaches you a lot of the times that you're usually wrong. Mm-hmm. The teacher is right. And therefore, it's usually not worth trying to be right.
It even teaches this thing where there's this person out there that has all the answers.
Yes.
You know, like
there's no fucking.
You gotta raise your hand so you can get to this person.
Yes.
And so they can bless you with the answer. you know.
Yes, exactly.
You know, or so they can approve your thought.
Right.
And it's like nowhere in the world does that work. Yeah.
And everything happens from thought. Everything happens from thought. And I say this a lot, and it's, you know, but it's not my saying. Lao Tzu said this, and he said that watch your thoughts to become words. Words become actions. Actions become habits. Habits defines your character, and your character ultimately defines your destiny.
100%.
And so everything actually starts from your thoughts. And so if you become a lazy thinker, you end up taking lazy actions, and you end up being this lazy procrastinator that you might define yourself. And then it comes out in horrible forms. It actually has a physical manifestation as well, from like the metaphysical world to the physical world. You know, if you're a lot of times lazy, you might actually become fat.
Yeah.
You know, if you're lazy, you might also just be okay with the job that underpays you, even though you're way more talented and you know that, but you're just like, that's okay. The other person knows better than I do. And so they're doing the right thing. And if you would have come up with some kind of invention, you won't actually do it anymore, because it's like, oh, if I could think of it, somebody else must have thought of it, and somebody else must have thought of it. They were probably smarter than me. And so I might as well not even try.
Man, is this why you really got into teaching people how to code? Because you wanted to pull people away from that whole thought process? Was that any of your actual motivation behind it?
It was the motivation behind a lot of what I do. I gave up on school a while ago. Like I was okay with getting terrible grades, terrible ACTs and SATs. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I got really bad grades. And what ended up happening was I detached my ego from the grades.
Yeah. You didn't even care.
Yeah, because a lot of people's self-worth comes from the grades or their parents' approval of them.
100%, yeah.
Luckily for me, what ended up happening was my ego and my self-worth got detached from the grades or from my parents' approval of my grades. And then I just got good at like other things outside of school. And so it was chess first. And, you know, I went to, and I became top 1% in the world for chess from the ages. Yeah. From, you know, in high school.
I didn't know about this. All right. Yeah.
I was addicted. I was obsessed.
Really?
Yeah. And then I started playing.
What did that look like? You were just going home and you were going all in, or just playing chess
club? It was a chess club. It was amazing. It was like a home. I would go there. I remember this one friend, his name was Evan Spiegel. He would bring cookies all the time.
Evan Spiegel, that's one of those cool names.
You know, Evan Spiegel is actually also the name of the CEO of Snapchat, the founder of Snapchat.
Yeah, that's why. Okay.
Yeah, so it's funny because I'm like, you know, when that happened, I'm like, Evan, you own Snapchat now, dude? That's awesome.
Right.
And we would just shoot the shit and play chess.
Yeah.
We would be talking shit. We were a bunch of stupid kids who were irresponsible, but that was our home. And it was something that was, for the first time in my life, I found that I was good at something.
Yeah.
And it gave me a lot of confidence, but it was like my thing. And I got attached to it. And, you know, it got to the point where I would go to competitions. And very quickly, I started becoming a lot better.
Top 1%?
Yeah.
In the U.S. or world?
In the US and in the world, it would be like top 10%.
That's crazy, though. Yeah, man. You know that probably was a crazy boost to say, yeah, I don't need approval from somebody else when you're dominating like on that level. You know what I mean?
It definitely was. And I felt that I didn't need approval even before that. But then when that happened, I was like, no, I don't really need it. And so then I would just study everything on my when it came to coding, I would study it on my own. I learned it on my own, and I would like learn all these amazing things, and I'd be sharing them with people. Because what always made me upset about school is if somebody gives you the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. It's like
garbage,
you know, or the what is it? The slope formula yx equals mx plus b or something.
I haven't heard of slope in a minute, man.
I know. And when they teach you that.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh yeah, of course I know the formula. They're like, of course I understand it. Like, you don't understand it? And I'm like, but do you really, like, can you actually use it in real life somewhere? And most kids who even get A's, they don't know where to actually use it or apply it in real life. And that's what was so frustrating to me. And even when I would ask the teacher, they never really had answers for that.
I mean, let's be honest about. I'm not even sure how many of the teachers could apply it in real life, and that's the problem I always had.
Yeah,
is that we're teaching things that we're not even sure. For one, not even just how to apply.
Yeah,
but it's like, where's the actual crossover ever?
Yes.
You know, like, I mean, like, ever. Like, okay, if we can't apply it, great, but we don't fully understand it, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm okay with that, actually.
There was only one time in my life I applied it.
Yeah.
It's only one time.
But
I mean, in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
It was beautiful.
Was it?
It was beautiful.
Talk about that day, man.
It was an incredible experience applying, the slow formula. That was actually the first time I fell in love with this stuff. And I figured out that it's not this stuff that's boring. This stuff is fascinating. Everything is fascinating. It's the way that it's taught, and with the lack of the passion or the right examples that it's taught with, that's what actually kills it a lot of the time. So for me, what took place was I had my laptop and it was like on 80% battery. And so I'm like, okay, 80% battery. And right now it's like 3:00, you know?
Right.
And then I'm like, how do I figure out exactly how my battery is depleting? Like, you know, per minute, how much percentage am I losing? Like, what's happening? And then basically I timed like at 10 p.m., you know, at 10 p.m., what's the battery at? And then I just plugged it in the formula and then it worked. And now I had the answer to, with exactly my usage, how much I use my laptop, how quickly does it deplete? Because for me, you know, I didn't have a lot of money at that time. I was young, so I didn't really have that many chargers. And every time I would go out, I wanted to take my laptop. So I wanted to know exactly how long I could use it for, you know, before it would run out. And so when I applied it there, I'm like, this is beautiful. This is really beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's amazing. But why aren't we taught it with real stuff? Why aren't we given challenges where the problem is easy to solve, but it lets you solve it? You know?
Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that we aren't given those opportunities? Because I think people know that, though. I think people know through allowing the other person to kind of find the answer on their own.
Yeah.
It is the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, it is the way to roll. It's like asking questions, not coming in and putting your hands on it and saying 2 + 2 = 4. Just memorize that, you know, but actually pulling out your fingers and saying, okay, let's put it down. Why do you think that people don't allow people to come to their own answers?
I think it makes it easy for the schools to manage that because answers are very quantifiable and measurable. I think real learning is not so like multiple choice based, or this is the perfect answer and this is the completely wrong answer. But it's hard to measure it.
Right.
And when you have one teacher and 50 students, it's really hard for him or her to sit with all these students and like know exactly where they're at. But when they can give them a Scantron, one size fits all, and then just get a result back, they're like, oh, this person is like, you know, this person is here, this person is an A student, I get it, and then it's defined.
Just kind of put them in the bucket and keep it moving, right?
Right. I think it just makes it a lot easier. But, you know, I also know, I think Norway or Sweden, they have this like non-competitive way of learning, and they actually don't do grades. They just do like joint cooperative projects. And so I think that is a great way to learn, and working on real world practical stuff. Why I wanted to teach this stuff was because like one common thread that I saw across all industries is like nobody's teaching practical stuff.
Right.
When they're teaching you math, they're not teaching you where you can practically apply it in your daily life. It's useful. It's really helpful. It actually has helped me make business deals. Like with one company wanted to work with me, and they were bigger than me, but I wanted to know when I could catch up to them. And so based on my growth, I literally used some math to figure out exactly. And it was 6 months.
Wow.
And so I actually declined them because I'm like, even though they're way bigger than me now, I'm actually going to be bigger than them in 6 months. And it turned out to be a great thing. And now we're working on something together. So,
man. So you know what? I mean, I kind of want to talk about that a little bit too, because I thought that your platform was mainly for like teaching individuals, but you also work with companies as well.
When I say work with companies, like partnerships,
okay,
it's still B2C. Like we're working with
individuals,
customers.
Gotcha. Okay,
yeah,
really cool, man. So, so you did apply some of your own learnings out of school eventually. It crossed over.
Yes, and it's always the simplest stuff that you get to apply, but it's just practicality is the most important thing. You know, if you look at a business class, why the hell is business class being taught by somebody who's never owned a successful business?
Dude, that piece blows my mind to me. Honestly, like that was always one of the biggest things. After I got to college, and one of the reasons why I just kind of played around in college, because I was working on my other business, and I'm just like, I'm actually doing the stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, I was out trying to market, and they wanted me to do like sales presentation. Like, I actually pitch. I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm good with that.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at my professor like, has he ever though? you know, like
step one of pitching.
Right.
Open PowerPoint. It's like,
right.
No, dude, we don't even use it anymore. It's like Google PowerPoint, so we can share it with everybody.
Right. Period. I mean, man, so how do you grow your business, man? Instead of talking about sales.
For me, the biggest thing that I needed to systemize in my business, so like to answer that question in a simple way, it's a launch-based business model. So we open 3 to 4 times in a year.
Okay.
And it's like people have 5 days to join the course. So it's one course.
Gotcha.
One product. I'm a big believer in making one product that gets people results. It's easier to distribute it. It's not easy to have multiple products. One product till you get to 1 million or more, because it's the best, I think. I read a book, Road to 0 to 100 million by Michael Masterson, incredible marketer. And he mentioned that. So focus on one product and then scale that to $1 million before you start going and creating other products.
Interesting.
That's one.
Do you keep coming back and hacking away at the products?
Yes.
Make it better? Okay.
I keep making it better.
Okay. Gotcha.
Keep getting customer feedback. Keep making it better. Bigger is not better. That's one of the toughest lessons, one of the biggest mistakes I've made in my own business. Because to make it better, I kept adding more stuff, and some stuff is like not necessary to add. A lot of it is actually not necessary to add. And what happens is the completion rates go way down, and people aren't completing it, and they think that they're not successful with your product. And so
I can see that.
They end up not getting the results that they were meant to get, you know? So basically launch-based business model. And then the other thing is launch. What that does is it creates a lot of uncertainty in your business. You might get an influx of cash when you launch.
Right.
So a lot of people join, but then in between launch 1 and launch 2, you literally have no money coming in.
Yeah, that's true though, man. I mean, so you're kind of like feast and famine type of setup almost.
Yeah, and that definitely, exactly. Feast and famine is the best way to describe it. And so if you're running a business like this, what you need to do is create a way to sell systematically as well. Mm-hmm. And so what we have done is implemented something called, and this is online marketing specific, talk, or things, but it's called an evergreen funnel. And what that means is new people who are joining your email list, they're going through an email sequence that's designed to help them decide if it's the right product for them, and then help sell that product to them, all automated.
So I want to get in the weeds on this, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So are you using something like ClickFunnels, I guess, to kind of help you get there?
You can think of it like that. I'm not using ClickFunnels, but the idea is similar.
Okay. So you have this actual funnel. People sign up for it.
Yeah.
On your website, put in their email information. Say, hey, give me a buzz. And then there's a series of questions that will kind of put them in different buckets. Is that right?
That's advanced, and I suggest keeping things as simple as possible.
100%. I would agree with that. Yeah.
And so because the funnels already is a complicated thing, and so as soon as you start adding quizzes and different buckets and segmenting, it's really complicated.
You're gonna start losing people, right?
Yeah, some people you start losing, but if you want to go that route, more power to you. I just believe in simplicity.
Right.
And so for us right now, we give people a masterclass that they can join, and it's incredible value. It's amazing 3 videos. It's literally like 3 Hollywood videos, production videos for a programming channel. And so it lays out the path for the person. And if it's a right fit for them, then they purchase the course, and after that comes the pitch for the course. And so it's a week-long sequence that we send. So if you joined our email list, you would get this automated 7-day-long sequence.
Okay.
And it also has a deadline timers inside of it that are personalized to you. So if within 7 days you don't click those links are expired, and you actually don't have to, you can't purchase the course anymore.
Well,
so there's
that's good
urgency in there as well.
Yeah. So so you have how many emails throughout the actual 7 days? Is like just one per day, or is it every other day?
So basically it's one pretty much every day, and then it's I believe about 2 or 3 the last day.
It's dope, man.
Yeah,
super dope.
Yeah,
I like that, because a lot of times in sales, at least how I do a lot of our sequences from a B2B standpoint, we kind of like we always try to space them out, but I'm losing people attention a little bit. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you this. I've been in the online marketing world for a while, and I've seen a lot of crazy shit. Mm-hmm. I know a girl who's running a successful business, and she's sending 5 emails a day.
5 a day.
5 a day. And so I
happy.
Go the 10x route. Go the Grant Cardone route.
Yeah.
Obscurity is the worst disease.
I gotta tell you, man. Have you read that book?
Best book. 10X. I was actually reading it again for the 4th time on the ride over here. Actually,
he's one of those guys. How we were talking about people that kind of like rub you the wrong way, but you're like, he's right.
Yes,
dude. So for a while, he used to get me hype. Yeah. And then I'm like, he's rubbing me the wrong way, bro. Like, I'm not really, you know what I mean? Like, he's not giving me the type of, it's too over the top. It's too much. It's not going to work. That's what I was telling myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, man? But I was at this place in sales. I'm like, I got to get to the next level, because I'm kind of plateauing a little bit here.
Yeah.
And so either I got to change jobs, change industries, or I got to just up my game. And I was like, all right, let me just start downloading a whole bunch of sales books. And this was on the list. So I got to next. And I think by the time I got to chapter 4 or 5, I forgot what chapter it is, I was like, I got to throw this out. This is ridiculously like dope. I mean, I start implementing. I just 10x everything, just like you said. It was that simple. Like my output went through the roof, and my sales is skyrocketed. And then I changed coats and everything else.
Damn.
it's 1000% legit. And from a sales standpoint, a lot of times sales become so pressure based, and people are so like, oh, where's the next deal coming from? It's because you don't have a big enough pipeline. I was just talking about this. It's because you don't have enough contacts. You're not doing enough work to get in front of people, so you never are anxious about where's the next buck coming from, right? Yes. And so when you tell me that someone's doing 5 emails a day, I'm like, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, I get it.
Yes.
I get it. Yeah.
It's insane how this world works, especially with the online marketing. And, it's online. It's just another dimension. Yeah. It's almost like the 4th dimension. I heard somebody explain it like that.
Okay.
And I think Jordan Peterson might have been explaining it like that. But anyway, it's also like, it's almost so in real life, the same things that work, a lot of those same principles actually work online as well. Obscurity is generally people's biggest problem.
I would agree with that.
Not being persistent enough and having a poor follow through is usually one of the biggest problem that people have. Whether it comes to you having a relationship, or you trying to run a business and get more leads, literally it comes down to a lot of persistence and follow up. One of my friends who I've been trying to call for like a week, just isn't picking up. So one of parts of my brain is thinking he's a terrible friend. Another part of my brain is thinking it's my fault and I just need to call him more. Got on a call with him today and he's still the same great friend. But now I'm taking responsibility for it. Mm-hmm. Before I was crying and I was like, I should just cut him because it's his fault for not calling.
Right.
Like he says absurd shit that makes you think. Like Grant Cardone is like, if a car hits you from the back, it's your fault.
That was crazy, but it's, I mean, there's something about taking that amount of ownership though.
It's powerful. It's very empowering.
I mean, it takes all the excuses off the table. There's nobody else that you can look at and be like, oh, this because you were late. That's why I missed this actual appointment.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
it gets rid of all that BS that we come up with. Mm-hmm. And you figure out how many excuses you actually come up with, though. That's the part that really blew me away about it. Like, it wasn't so much that you just take it and be ridiculous, but it's like you challenge yourself now to say, look at how many roadblocks I'm throwing in my own way.
Dude, just to come to this podcast, you know how many excuses I had to overcome?
Talk about it, man.
It's like sales. Even your own self. It's sales.
You can talk yourself out of it.
Your brain is giving you so many objections, and you have to talk to your own brain and overcome all those objections. Mm-hmm. So first, it's my brain goes, "Wow, it's 7 p.m. You're going to be tired." I went, "That's fine. Even if I'm tired, I'll just have that tired present. That's okay. I'll still just do the podcast."
Right.
My brain goes, "Okay." My brain's like, "Well, listen, you've been working really hard on building a lot of these habits. And so, and especially since you're working out a lot and having all these new habits is really frying your central nervous system. Are you sure you want to go at 8 p.m. with being burnt out from the workout?"
Right.
And I'm like, that's fine. I'm just going to take a little nap earlier in the day and I'll be fine. Mm-hmm. And then my brain goes, but remember, you got to sleep at 10 p.m. so you can wake up at 5 a.m. for the gym session. So that's another excuse. And then finally, when I was about to leave, it was like 41 minutes. And I'm like, I'll just tell Joe, like, he'll understand. I'm just going to be like...
I would have totally understood too, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know.
That would have been good.
And I'm like, it's 40 minutes away. It's just too long. Mm-hmm. But these are just excuses at the end of the day.
100%.
There's nothing to them. What was the alternative? Not sharing value with people, not being on Instagram, not being on Facebook, not actually having any value out to the real world.
Yeah.
Just being cozied up in my house for a little bit longer. Maybe watching Dexter for a little bit longer. But now that actually came out, 40 minutes, I listened to 10X. And it was incredible. I wish the drive was even longer.
Yeah.
I'm always like, why do people complain about traffic and driving? Because that's where I actually get the most new ideas, and so many excuses.
Man, taking that ownership is crazy, man. It's but that extreme ownership, it really puts you in a different place. And I feel like it's one of the biggest advantages that I've seen myself really even kind of grow with, man. It's bananas, dude. Yeah. 10X. What else do you read?
Roller Coaster Entrepreneur by Darren Hardy is a great book.
Okay, yeah, Darren Hardy, yeah.
Read that. And there are a lot of books that have had but there are a few books that have had a giant impact on my life.
Can you name?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay, yeah.
10X. And then one is, it's by John Sonmez, and the book is called, it's like something about the Manual for Software Developer.
Okay.
And what's weird is that what this guy did is he's all about personal development, but he ran a channel about coding and for software developers. So pretty much everything he did, he just wrapped it with the word software developers. The advice he gives can just apply to everybody. He's talking about YouTube half the time and content creation and providing value to the world. And so it says software developers, but there's actually like a little bit about software developers.
Yeah.
That book was like life-changing for me as well. Got me on the YouTube stuff and started producing content. But yeah, just 10X in that book. you really have to be unreasonable. And most people around you aren't unreasonable, and that's why they have like mediocre and average results. And so you either got to be surrounded by incredibly insane, unreasonable people, or you got to be surrounded with your headphones, Audible or books you read by these people.
100%, man. I mean, the fact that you got the 200,000 YouTube followers is a beast. And what type of people did you have in your circle, man, for you to kind of get there?
I didn't have people in my circle who helped me with content creation or any of that.
Really?
It was literally one of my friends telling me about Audible and then me giving it a chance and that changing my life.
So you really blew up off of Audible conversation. I mean, off of having that dialogue through the audiobooks, because I get a book a month. I mean, is that how you really kind of got yourself separated?
Books, reading books and listening to books.
Man, all right.
Changed my entire life.
How about your friends? Do you have a lot of friends out here on the West Coast?
I don't have a lot of friends here.
Yeah, no. Yeah. It's funny how that happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in between. Like, if you had to say if I'm an introvert or an extrovert, what would you say?
I mean, the fact that you rolled up on me at the airport, I think that you're more extroverted. I think you can roll up on anybody. I mean, because it was the morning too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, or it was kind of that time when I was kind of like down. Both of us were kind of out of it for whatever reason. I think I was out the whole night before, but
yeah.
I mean, but it was an easy conversation, so I feel like you could roll up on anybody, man.
Yeah, it's funny because I wasn't even feeling like talking at that point. I was like, "What's up, dude?" I remember my shoulders were like slumped. I had my backpack on.
I was the same way though. I mean, I was sitting there just kind of like, "All right, what's going on?"
Yeah, and yeah. So the weird thing is, a lot of people will say I'm an extrovert, and perceive me as an extrovert. I feel that I'm in between, or more of an introvert almost, because for me, I spend a lot of time reading, thinking, writing, creating. Even creating, it's not a extroverted thing to do.
People think it is, though.
It's like me literally talking to a camera by myself, and there's no other person speaking. I don't think it's an extroverted thing.
But it seems like it's very extroverted because you have all these followers, you got all these likes, and then it seems like everybody's talking to you nonstop.
Yes.
Or constantly commenting, engaging, whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's funny how that's perceived outside of what you're really doing.
It is. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, books were the things that changed my life, and I just can't. But I'm also obsessive. I work in like short obsessive cycles.
Yeah.
So for me, consistency is a problem. And that's why I've lacked results when it comes to certain things.
I get my mic up.
Nice.
Good look.
So that's why I have trouble with certain things getting results in. Like, for example, when it comes to lifting or workout, because that consistency isn't something that's part of me, that's difficult. But because I'm obsessive, I usually do things where they become my whole life. They overtake my life. So whether it's table tennis or chess or running an online business or learning jiu-jitsu or boxing or lifting, those things at some point become my obsession. And then that's all I ever do or ever talk about.
Let's try this one. Say something, Cost.
Hello. Hey guys, how's it going? You picked this mic up?
Mic up? I think it's good enough.
Hopefully you can hear us on Facebook now. Hello.
Yours Zen? That's all good. Everyone wants to hear you anyway, man.
Hello. Just not picking it up. Hi, Clever Dev. How are you doing?
Clever Dev?
Sounds Somebody's saying, who's the guy besides Kazi? That's Joe Lemon. He runs a podcast called The Real Value Exchange.
Real Value Exchange.
Yep. And then your background is in sales.
Sales and marketing. Yeah.
So he's a sales and marketing expert, and he runs an incredible podcast. I got inspired by him to actually start my own podcast. And that studio that you had booked out, it inspired me to actually build my own studio and soundproof it and everything. So now that's going to be something that I'm going to be working on.
Dude, having your own like separate like place where you can go and just create,
yeah,
I think matters, man.
It really does, and it puts you in a very amazing headspace. Like when I was in that place, all I wanted to do was create.
I mean, like, what's so crazy about it is that it's probably about the size of two decent sized closets. Mm-hmm. It's a really tight spot, right?
Yeah.
But it's all blacked out, and you can make it whatever you want to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love when you sit in there, there's no reverb.
Right.
It's just quiet. It's like, my voice sounds so deep. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And the energy just changes when I'm in that room.
Yeah.
You know, it makes me want to just like literally do a podcast. Like, I mean, it's perfect for a podcast room.
I mean, but dude, you know, last time we were there, you were coming off of meditation, actually.
Yes.
You were doing like some Headspace, you know, type of, you were on the app. And how long do you normally go on Headspace once you go through it?
10 to 15 minutes at a time.
That's pretty good. Are you like zone out the whole time?
What do you mean?
Well, are you able to kind of say like, you know, like not having a whole bunch of thoughts run through your mind while you go through the meditations?
Oh, that's definitely tough. But yeah, generally my head is pretty clear. But no, sometimes it'll happen where it'll just go on different thoughts and latch onto them. Yeah. And so right after the meditation is over, I'm dying to write down these thoughts.
Wow.
You know, I'm like, but I feel that I don't know if that's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, but sometimes I get really great ideas. Yeah. And I don't want to let them go. And so sometimes I feel like I need to stop the meditation.
Do you?
Halfway so I can write them, but I don't. I've done it a few times actually. Yeah. But I try not to, and I don't know what the right answer is. Like, if you get a great thought about your business, like, do you try to forget it? Like, how does it work?
I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Man, there's this, I did this sensory deprivation tank.
Yes.
Have you done one?
I love it. Yes.
Oh, it's bananas.
I was inspired by Joe Rogan.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I heard him talking about it too.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know what a sensory deprivation chamber is and sounds like torture, it's also known as a flotation tank, and it's filled with Epsom salt. It's dark.
I think it's like hundreds of pounds of like, you know, Epsom salt, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, because you can just sit
so
right on top.
You cannot drown.
Yeah.
You float, and it's really great for healing. You're improving your blood flow. Really great for your health, actually, and helps with inflammation and recovery if you're an athlete. And then when you go in that tank, you can't see, so your sense of seeing as sight is gone. You can't hear anything because they put earplugs in. You can't really smell anything. Obviously, you can't taste or feel or touch anything. So that's why it's called sensory deprivation chamber, because all of your senses are taken. You at some point start feeling that you're floating in space.
What was the
beautiful?
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man. I mean, seriously, I'm definitely going back. But what was where did your mind go after you kind of relaxed into it? Because I had a wild experience, but I want to hear where you went with it.
Interesting. I want to hear your experience. I have a fear of dark. Okay. Not like crazy. I sleep in the dark in my house, but you know, too many horror movies, and so if I'm in an abandoned house and it's dark, that's very frightening. Mm-hmm. And I have a deep fear of water, you know. And again, it's hard to describe. Like, I go to the pool and I'll swim and stuff, but if you put me in a pool and there's nobody there and it's dark, like, that's the nightmare. It's like combining two of the biggest nightmares. So for me, going to the flotation tank, I wanted to overcome my fear and just look it in the face. Huh. So it was actually a terrifying experience for the first 10 minutes.
I was about to say, so you felt like you were just like full panic mode or just challenged the whole time?
Really panicked.
Wow.
For the first 10 minutes. As soon as I went in and I closed the tank,
Yeah.
my breathing was like super uneven, and I just imagined the Grudge in there with me, the Ring, the grandmother from Insidious, clowns, the Purge, like the Saw, you know, the dude from the Saw, like, he's on a little bicycle. Time to play the game.
Chainsaw Massacres and all that.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre dude is in there, like Jeepers Creepers. Everybody's in there.
Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah. And I'm literally like just about to get a heart attack.
Wow.
And it's just pitch black. And then what sometimes I do when I have so much fear is I just let the fear wash over me, and I just breathe into it, and I just let it become a part of me and embrace it and actually enjoy it. So I fall into it. So I'm just like, okay, if they're all there, then it's already over, and just let them take me.
That was your experience.
And then I laid down and I just really tried to relax, and I was like freaking out first 5 to 10 minutes. And then after that, it started getting like completely like thoughts started going away, because once you just go, okay, do the worst you can to me.
Right.
And then nothing is happening to you.
And you're still there?
And you're still there. And then the fear just goes away. There's no room left for it anymore.
Interesting. Did you fall asleep?
For a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. But around the 30-minute mark, it genuinely felt that I had no body. I was out of body. I was nothing. I felt like I was nothing. Not in a derogatory way.
Yeah,
I felt that I didn't exist.
Yeah.
I felt maybe I was floating through space, but I was just consciousness. I was like the universe itself. And I didn't have a body. I was just a thought or something floating. And that was really incredible. And because you can't feel your body anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, you're just there and you can't feel anything. You can't smell. I loved it. And then around the hour mark, I got out. It was an incredible experience. But I'm curious. I want to hear about yours.
Man, so there's something that happens when you have no input. Like there was no information coming in. I mean, like this is the part that messed me up, man. Like there was no information.
Okay.
Like, you know, I mean, obviously, if we look at what we do on a day-to-day basis, I touch the table, I get feedback. Oh, that's a hard table. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like if it's warm in the air, I'm like, oh, it's warm. You know what I mean? Like there's moisture in the air.
There's some data coming.
There's always data, dude. There's light. There's information from something. And I went in there, and like you said, the first 5 minutes, I was like, this is going to suck because I don't like tight spaces.
Yeah.
And I'm about to go put myself in this pod that's like, you know, I'm not sure how big, but it's enough for max a 6'8" dude to be in. So it's not that big, you know what I mean? Right? And I'm like, all right, here I go.
Yeah.
On top of this pod and just see what happens. But as soon as I close the lid, I'm like, all right, this is weird. There's nothing coming in. No light, no information. I can't feel anything. And then I get really wild, and because the first I guess 5 to 10 minutes, like you're talking about, you're trying to understand where you are, and I'm trying to make sure that I float. I'm like, I don't want to drown. You know, I'm not going to drown. So I get past all the fears.
Yes.
The first 10 minutes were like fearful things.
Okay.
So that's why I was listening to you. It's like
fearful things. What other fearful things you have besides drowning?
I mean, but you know, it wasn't like a crazy fear, like I'm going to die. It was just like, oh, it's tight in here. I don't like that. It was like uncomfortable shit. I'm like, I don't want to be, I don't want to drown. Don't get the salt in your eyes. You know what I mean? It was like uncomfortable fears.
Yeah.
Nothing that was like dramatic and like, you know, there's a guy waiting with a knife as soon as you got to, you know what I mean? Like, it was nothing crazy.
Not like mine.
Nah, dude, my shit was way chill. My thing was chill. And so, but after that passed, and I'm not even sure how long it was. It could have been 30 seconds. It could have been 10 minutes. I'm not sure. At some point, I felt like a baby in a womb. I had this feeling like I was in a womb, dude, and it tripped me out. And I'm like, I'm just an infant. And then I took off from there, and then I was in space. And then I was just an atom, bro. Like, it was the weirdest thing ever.
It's funny because it's not even like you're doing drugs in there. You know, you're not high. There's no psychedelics. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's where I went. I went to the womb, and I was like, I'm a baby. I'm just sitting in my mom's womb, just chilling. I have no information. I don't know what's happening outside, but I didn't even care though.
Dude, I want to go now.
I didn't even care that I was a baby. Like, you know, like normally you would be concerned, like, I'm in this type spot.
I got to do all this. I got to do all this work again.
I have to grow up again. It was like, nah, dude, this is right. This is how it is. Yeah. And there's something about, you know, how we all have muscle memory and our cells have memory as well. Mm-hmm. And it's funny how it crosses over. Whatever experience that you have, like, it crosses over into a little bit of your sensories, you know, about how you envision the future is going to play out. Because we're always trying to predict a little bit of thing, right? Yeah. Like, even once I'm reaching for this bottle, I was thinking about the process. Oh, let me go grab the bottle. You know, the bottle's going to be a little cold, you know, because I already had all this information. But like, when you go in that tank and you forget about information, you're like, I don't even care if it's cool or not.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm just going to get the bottle, and the bottle's there. If it's not there, who cares?
Yeah.
It was wild, bro. I loved it, though.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's an amazing experience. Yeah. People should go and do it. Sensory deprivation chamber. I always like saying that more than flotation tank.
Yeah, me too.
Gets a reaction out of people.
It sounds dope, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like you're actually doing something like...
It sounds like, one, you know what you're talking about, and two, it shocks them.
It definitely sounds like you know what you're talking about. So, man,
have you ever been to sensory deprivation chamber? What's that? Well, let me tell you.
Yeah, let me educate you.
Yeah.
You have time? I'll talk to you when you have more time. It's going to take a while, especially for you. Yeah. I mean, but dude, no, it's one of those things that I think people need to do more of. And, you know, being a business owner and wearing multiple hats, and how many choices do you think that you make every day?
A lot.
I mean, like, if you had to put a number on it.
A lot. I get tired making decisions every day.
Do you have like burnout and fatigue?
30, 40. I would say decision fatigue.
Yeah?
And unless I plan my day the night before of specifically what I'm going to do, I get very exhausted because I'm constantly making choices like, is it the best time to go to the gym right now? But if I go to the gym in the morning at 5 a.m., then I won't be able to do the modules, because I remember in this book I read, it says the hardest thing that you need to do, you should do it the first thing in the morning.
Right.
But then I'm like, if I don't go to the gym and I go do the other thing, like creating some content, then what happens is that going to the gym is not a strong enough habit. And then I might not go to the gym later on. And it's like fatigue.
Yeah.
Constant decision fatigue. What time should I eat? If I eat at 8 a.m., then if I go to lift, it's going to affect my lift and I can't lift anymore. But if I don't eat now, then I can't eat 3 times or hit my 3,000 calorie goal. And so it's like, it's just so much fatigue unless you plan it out the day before. And then it's like easy.
Yeah.
Because we're better followers, but not better leaders. And our willpower is very limited. And so when you plan your day, what takes place is you spend 5 to 10 minutes of concentrated time to use your willpower.
Right.
And that's when you're using your willpower to plan your next day. But it's only over the span of 5 to 10 minutes.
Right.
But then as you go into the next day, then you're using zero willpower because you're just following the directions to what you had written down from the day before. Whereas if you don't use your willpower for those 5 to 10 minutes to plan out your day, then it's effectively you're using the next 15 or 20 hour long day, and you're using your willpower for 15 hours long.
Man, when you think about creatives, especially, like I heard a stat that says most people make anywhere between 20 to 30,000 choices a day.
What?
20 to 30,000 choices.
I don't know about that, dude. I make like 10 a day.
Think about it though, right? Think about it though, right? Like,
yeah.
Should you say where or where? I mean, like little things like that. Should I take the stairs or the elevator?
Yeah. Should
I wear the brown shoes or the black shoes? If you got 15 pairs of shoes, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yes.
What type of t-shirt should I have on?
Yeah.
Should I flush fully, or should I use the little light flush that just has the water? And I mean, dude, I mean, like, it's hot or cold. I mean, like, think about how many choices there really are. What type of water should I get?
Yeah.
Because there's at least 10 different brands in every store.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of choices to make. I'm not sure how accurate that 20 to about 30 is.
Yeah.
But if you have more options you're trying to create
at subconscious level, and at those, like, when you get to like really micro level, I'm sure 20 or 30,000.
Yeah. I mean, like, right? I mean, you have to loop all that stuff in there, of course, right? With that, because there's no way.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, should I wear the watch today?
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, little stuff. Belt or like no belt.
Yeah,
I
debated wearing the shirt.
Just kind of sag a little bit.
Like, man, I'm gotta wear.
Thought about coming topless?
I did, man, because it's a podcast, and I'm like,
yeah, it's true.
Nobody's gonna know.
Nobody's gonna know.
No, but I thought about wearing another shirt, and I started debating, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why am I spending so long? Like, let's go create some content. Like, that's what I need to think about. But yeah, I was thinking about it, and there's like, there's certain things you just have to not think about, you know, and then not to mention like the bills to pay, you know, and then all that other stuff that starts.
Who gets paid when? Yeah. All that stuff, man. I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense why Steve Jobs came out in the black top every day.
Yeah.
You know, he just said, man,
I'm very simple. I'm not that simple, but I'm pretty much that simple. Like, there was 1 year where I went crazy. Like I told you, I'm obsessive. For like 6 months, I went crazy into fashion. And got really good at it.
Oh, really?
And then like I
suck at fashion, dude.
And that's all good. But it was like I got over it. You know, I'm like I'm like, once I get a skill and I've done it, then I'm like, okay, I've done it.
Right.
I've kind of outgrown it. And so
you get bored.
I get bored. I have that personality where as soon as the challenge is over, I get bored. And so, because I was like, I never saw myself as a fashionable person, and nobody ever saw me as a fan. And so I'm like, it's going to be interesting doing it.
What made you get into fashion? Like, was there a thing? Was there a girl involved? I was like, no, dude, I want to see.
It's always like the most ridiculous thing. It's like, how can I surprise people in the craziest way ever?
Yeah.
My whole life is that. I was a scrawny, brown, Indian kid who was like, didn't know what was going on in life. You know, terrible with girls, didn't know what to say to anybody. I mean, I had good friends, but, you know, I went to a religious school, so it was like socially awkward when I was going into high school or freshman year. So for me, the most random thing to ever do would be to do strength training, you know, like lifting.
Yeah.
Nobody in my family has ever done it. That reason alone was enough to get me to do it. You know, weird stuff. Building an online business, actually, you know, there was a lot of different motivations, but one of them was like, I have all these friends that are getting 36s, perfect scores on their ACTs, getting all these scholarships. I'm getting terrible grades. So I'm like, how can I surprise everybody in a really crazy way? So I'm like, yeah, let's first start out by dropping out of college. That's step one. And then there are all these other steps. So for me, it was, life was...
How old were you whenever you dropped out, man?
20, I believe. 21, maybe.
Okay. Like around sophomore year or something like that?
Sophomore year, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. So for me, I look for crazy challenges. Life almost feels that it's easy. Maybe I just don't have enough pressure on. I don't know. But I look for crazy challenges, and as soon as the challenge is over, I stop. So one of the biggest problems I'm facing in my business right now is that it is in a good position, and it's so easy to do what I need to do. It's so easy and obvious for me that it's painful.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it.
Wow. So you have to, or you want to feel that sense of uncertainty.
I want to feel that, and I want to do things that are novel and challenging. And so like now I want to hire somebody to do what I do, except I'm pretty good at what I do, and it's really hard to hire somebody to do what I do.
Right.
And so I got to keep doing it, but it's the same old stuff. So I want to move on to newer things. But that personality trait that I have also shows up as a weakness when it comes to working out and health, because I'm not consistent with it. So for my personality type, it's actually better to do workouts that kind of change every 4 to 8 weeks than like one thing that you should do for a year or 2 years.
Why do you think that is, though, man? That you want to keep finding new challenges, or you want to climb new mountains? I mean, why do you think it is for you?
I don't know. I might have to dig deep for this at like somewhere far away, but I needed to be good enough so I couldn't be ignored, because I was a brother of 2 and they were really like dominant personalities, you know, my oldest brothers. And so for me...
Are you middle child?
Youngest child.
Okay, youngest, okay.
Yeah, I'm the baby. Like they're 10 and 14 years older than me.
Oh, wow.
And so to be heard, it took a lot in the house. Like nobody would hear me. And then being a weak, you know, I was like really skinny and all that. And so I would like get pushed around in school a little bit. And so for me, being loud wouldn't get me anywhere. But being good, that was something that got attention of people's. Like when I would go to chess competitions and the other like they would see my name, there was fear in their eyes.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what's up. Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
But it happened because of like work ethic and just being quiet and just working and just producing a crazy amount of, you know, crazy result. But those things inherently were very challenging. And when I would play video games, and I asked this question to a lot of people to learn about their personality types, and let me ask you as well.
Go for it.
You ever played video games?
Yeah.
Okay. When you play campaigns, right? Like when you play single player mode of a game or whatever,
right?
What difficulty level do you play at? Easy, medium, insane? What level do you play at?
It depends, man. It depends on the game. But normally, if I'm starting off out the gate, if I'm keeping it honest, I'll start easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And most people, and not everybody starts off with easy. Some people start off with normal. Some people start off with very, very easy.
Yeah.
Some people start off with hard. For me, the games I would play to other people, it would look like borderline torture. I would like pick insane difficulty.
Yeah.
And so for me to cross like half of a level or quarter of a level, it would take me 8 hours.
Wow.
Most other people are beating the game.
Yeah.
8 hours. But for me, it wasn't about, for me, the game wasn't over when the game was over. For me, the game was over when it got easy at a very young age.
I like that.
And so your strength is going to be like, if you were in my position or, you know, depending on the business you're running, you're going to keep growing and scaling it. And that's your strength. You're not going to that's why you've done so many podcasts, you know, that is so powerful, but that's part of your personality. But for me, my strength is like quick startup and just going all in and like overcoming a crazy challenge. But then I get bored and then I don't want to do it anymore. And so I need a person on my team who can do the integrator part of it.
Yeah. You know what's so interesting about that question of asking where do you start on video games, on what level, is the fact that you really tap into a little bit of what the person, what they're trying to see happen in life. Like one of the things that I love seeing things crossed off the list.
Wow.
I can't lie about that. Dude, it's bananas, dude. Like I get, not the BS, but like the big shit. Like I like to say, you know what? They say I couldn't do this 3-4 times a week. Done. And I'm putting checks in the boxes every day. Like I'm kicking your ass consistently.
Nice.
And I'm not even kicking your ass. I'm doing it for myself really for the most part. But there's something about just getting through it. And so going on easy on the video game lets me get through the game. Yeah. Check in the box. Yeah. So when I talk to my homeboys and say, hey, did you play XYZ game? Yeah, I already beat it. Yeah. I'm done with it.
Interesting.
I'm done with it because like for me with the video game, it was about socializing with people. I loved more so the actual idea of being with people because everybody wants to get that acceptance, right? But I love getting with it and saying, look, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm living it out. I'm executing it. That was a big deal for me.
Yeah.
So just kind of give me some insight on your question.
That is a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. And I feel that even can relate to like when I think about, you're saying just so you could say you beat the game.
Yeah.
Sometimes people get masters and PhDs just so they say they got it.
To say that they were there.
They might get it in business or something and they might not even use it.
Yeah.
Just so they can say they were there. So that's very, very, interesting.
With that, I didn't play a lot of video games or see them through unless I was into it. Like I can only name maybe 3 or 4 games like that I really wanted to see through because it was about socializing people. So I was more so playing the Maddens. I played the James Bond head to head. Like I wanted to play the competition games, but I didn't want to really play out like the Sonics or the Marios, all the actual adventure games. I mean, there were very few I saw it through up to the very end because it was more about working with people on doing stuff than it was just about doing it to say I did it by myself.
Interesting.
Isn't that weird?
So that probably crosses over into you doing podcasts.
100%.
It's a very cooperative and I wouldn't say competitive, but a cooperative thing.
Yeah.
Because, most people aren't doing it alone.
I mean, dude, there's people that have great podcasts that are solo guys.
Yeah.
I could never do podcasts for an extent. Like, I would just lose interest. If it was like, all right, it's Joe's day every day, it's me about me and nonstop, then I would quit.
I would lose interest if it was, but I mean, I do YouTube videos, so I don't know.
But you do courses, though. I mean, you're more so training people, though, through your courses, right?
I do YouTube videos and then the courses are separate.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so the YouTube videos, at some level, you have to enjoy the process of making it, but what I like about the videos is I feel like I also enjoy, at some level, I enjoy seeing myself in the video.
Yeah.
And I enjoy making jokes. And I enjoy the process of all of it,
Yeah.
And so there has to be a certain level of vanity there as well, because otherwise you wouldn't do it. Like, I can sit here and just be like, I'm just doing it to provide value to the world. No, like at a deep level, I've always wanted to be like, it's almost like I wanted to live up to my full potential.
Yep.
And I always imagined myself to have a lot of significance in the world and to a lot of people. And so I thought about movies or being in, or like having a big YouTube channel and having a following, and didn't matter about what in the start. So there is a little bit of, selfishness there as well,
When you started, were you thinking about like yourself out the gate? Were you like, look, I want to see myself on YouTube? Was that one of the motivations?
I definitely was like, I want to see myself on YouTube. Like, that was one. Another one that drove me was like, how the F are these people who, like, there were so many people who were terrible at YouTube or terrible teachers of something that I knew really well.
Yeah.
I'm like, how the fuck are these people teaching it?
Yeah.
Like, their channel should be blocked and deleted.
So you saw other people doing it and say, I can do this better. I'm going to go.
I'm driven by negative emotions a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. There's like, there's a whole side of emotions that's like positivity and gratitude and love. And those words would make me cringe actually a few months ago. Now I'm actually learning about them and appreciating it a lot. And I want to come from a lot of positive emotions. I'm really driven and have been driven my whole life by like anger, being a tyrant to myself, demeaning my own self in my head if I couldn't do it, saying somebody else sucks and I can do it better. And so just those dark energy moves me, and I know how to leverage it. At the end of the day, we're kind of like chimpanzees, and we just got to like know what moves us forward.
Yeah.
But over the course of 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you start turning and you look back and you have a life of resentment, and you're not okay with how you treated yourself, and you lower your self-respect, and it shows through. You become grumpy. Those old people who become grumpy, they didn't just wake up and become grumpy. They took a lot of actions that over time built a lot of deep level of resentment.
Oh, yeah, 100%, man.
And so I didn't want to go down that route either, just completely dark, solo, no friends, you know, those things. And so when I look back, everything that motivated me was actually I wanted to run away from things that I didn't want. It wasn't because of the things I wanted. So seeing my mom grow up in misery and a lot of pain and suffering and herniated discs and blood pressure and arthritis and just so many things, and this poor woman that I love, like forever, like saw her grow through that. And then I think I talked about this maybe in your previous podcast. A little bit. But yeah. Basically, long story short, we couldn't pay for it. And so what drove me was, how come my brother and my dad and my other brother are doing everything perfectly? They're going to school, they have degrees, they're doing their jobs, they're doing 9 to 5, they're very disciplined, they're very honorable and honest, all of that. How come they can't even take care of somebody that we love? You know, because it was really expensive to pay for it.
Of course.
And that I didn't want in my life to ever happen again. What other things I didn't want is when I wanted a video game, it was like $60. We would wait 2 years so we could get it for $50. And I didn't want it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I wanted like a remote control helicopter when I was 9. Never got it. You know, never got it my whole life. I was told, like, if I did this, I would get it. But it's not that they are bad parents or anything, or my family is bad. I love them to death. It's just that it wasn't something that was so easy for us. But it wasn't that we were broke, but we were also poor. And I believe poverty and being poor is a mindset. You know, and being broke is the actual state. Like, you're not having enough money.
You don't have the funds, yeah.
And so we were both. And generally, people are both. Nobody's ever rich here and then broke at the same time. It follows. A mindset is everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so when that happened, I didn't like living like that. You know, I didn't want when I have kids, or I didn't want when I have friends or whatever, to be always like, oh, we can't go on a vacation here, or the Wi-Fi is $5 on the airplane, so let's not get it. So it was a lot of running away from that. And when I ran away from all of that, I hit a plateau in business, relationships, health, everything, because now I've outran everything I didn't want, but I never actually deeply knew what I truly want. And that's something I'm still actually struggling with and working through.
Dude, that's phenomenal, man. It's phenomenal that you have that awareness of where you are. Like, I don't think that it's about fully having all the answers, but being able to be aware of your surroundings and say, okay, this is what it is. And then now you're just a seeker, right? And then you kind of get in seeking mode and you start exploring, trying new things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Figuring out who you are, finding your voice, all the rest of that jazz that you're up to.
Yeah.
That's the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, especially after you've come from a place of either frustration because you didn't know, or anger because you didn't like the circumstances that you were in. It's great to be able to say, I'm going to venture out and get some new land, and we're going to figure this out.
Yeah.
Man, that's dude, that's powerful, man.
Yeah.
Seriously. And so, you know what's funny though too is that it seems like what seems like the right way would be the comfortable way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I was talking to on my previous episode. I think I was with my guy Tom Murphy, man, out of Atlanta. What up, Tom? And we were talking. I'm like, dude, the biggest drug out here right now is comfort.
Yeah.
I mean, what it drives us to do. Think about how many people work to be comfortable. Like, just comfortable. I mean, I'm not talking about like excelling and that heaven space. I mean, they're talking about purgatory. We're good. Just, I'm not bad at all, but I'm not that great either. I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
You know?
It's scary.
Isn't it crazy to think about how many people will consume or chase that
Yeah.
alone?
I think that is the ultimate drug. I never thought about it like that, but comfort is just the most beautiful thing. So good. Like, I just want to sleep in my bed right now talking about it.
But it's comfortable, right? I mean, you get in there, you get the nice double down, comforter. You got the AC on high, like it's dripping. It's beautiful.
On, man.
You're comfortable, man. You're good.
Yeah.
And it's okay for the temporary, but man, you get hooked on that comfort, dude.
Yeah.
And it puts you in a place where it's really depressing over some time. At least from my experience.
Yes, because comfort is very comfortable, but when you look at it over time, and when you actually have goals, when you actually write down goals, it doesn't move you forward in any direction ever. And so it's depressing to look over at it. So this is another thing. There's how you emotionally feel in the moment versus when you look back at your life, how you feel. They're two very different things.
They are.
Because emotionally, moment to moment, you can actually be feeling really happy, partying, having a great time.
Yeah.
But then when you look back, and now all of a sudden you have this life of regret. So for me, it's if I died without achieving my maximum potential, that's my biggest regret. I recently did a quantum hypnosis.
Oh, talk about
session.
this, man. Yeah.
For about 6 days ago, a week ago now.
Wow.
8 hours long.
What?
Incredibly intense experience.
Really?
Yes.
What's the process like, man?
It took place from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. And effectively how it works is I ask you, like when it's about to start, they have you shut down, like the lady that came to my house, then they come to your house.
Wow.
Because you have to be in your own bed. So you're in the most comfortable state there. Now, there are 4 states of consciousness. You have the wake state, which is right now.
Yep.
There's a light trance, which is sometimes you're washing dishes and you start dozing off, or you're driving and you doze off. Start thinking about something. Then there's a deep trance where when you wake up from deep sleep, and when you're like interrupted from deep sleep and your eyes are just like in the center and your brain is going crazy, that's deep trance. But you're there for a very short amount of time,
right?
Fraction of a second. And then there's sleep, which is sleeping. So those are the 4 states of consciousness. Normal hypnosis, what they do is put you in light trance. So when they want you to quit smoking, or when you want to quit smoking, or you want to quit drinking, you would do light hypnosis. And why it's effective is because information alone doesn't do jack shit.
Right. I can believe. Yeah.
If you smoke and I just tell you, hey, bro, it's bad for you, don't do it.
You're right.
You're not gonna do it. You're gonna keep smoking.
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
But I'm a doctor, and you come into my office, and I say, I have bad news. Looking at this, you actually have lung cancer, and unfortunately, it looks like you only have 2 years.
Right.
And now that information, it's still information, but how come now you might actually quit smoking? I think it's like the difference between just listening and understanding versus internalizing it at a deeper level and emotionally being connected to it. And so the reason why hypnosis works, or I think it works, is when you're in the light trance and they're doing it, they're having you connect, they're speaking to your somewhat of your subconscious. And they're having you connect to it at an emotional level, and you're coming up with why you should actually stop doing it. And so it actually causes a behavioral change. That's what we want. We don't want information. We want a behavioral change.
Right.
To be successful, I can tell people very easily, 5 YouTube videos a week takes about 5 hours, maybe. 3 emails to write a week takes 60 minutes total. You're going to have $100,000 business in the first year. That's what it takes to run it, but nobody's going to do it. It's just simple behavioral change that we're looking for. And so the deep trance, that's when you're in your deepest layer of your subconsciousness. And a lot of the answers at a deep level, you know. Like, for example, what makes Joe happy? If you're in this state right now, the answer you're going to give might not be your true answer. But at probably subconscious level, that information is there because when you're doing those things, you are happy. Right? And you've done those things at some point. And so that answer is hidden somewhere, but beneath the surface. And so how it works is in the first 3 hours, they interview you. It's a very intense interview. All electronics must be shut off in the house, everything. And so when we're doing the interview, I'm writing down everything about your life, and I'm going through from whatever you think is important that you need to tell me. So it could be about your childhood, your first memory, trauma in your life, anything. And I ask you questions along the way, but I'm going through all this. Then once the interview is over, you write down 30 or 40 questions that you want answered.
30 or 40 questions?
Mm-hmm.
You ready to come up with 30 questions that you want answers to?
Yeah, I did. You know, some of them were like, should I leave the country?
Yeah.
Because I was going to go to Colombia.
Talk about that. I was kind of waiting to ask you, but all right, but keep on going.
Yeah, and I decided not to. And this session had to do with it.
Wow.
It was a big decision. One of the biggest decisions of my life.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things. Like, what's holding Kazi back? What's my fear? What do I not want? What do I want? And so you write all these questions, and then when you're actually in the deep trance, so they put you in your own bed, and then she'll be like right next to you and put you through the deep trance.
She in the bed with you, or she's just kind of over you?
She's next to you. She's not in the bed with you.
All right, yeah. No, I'm just
yeah, but she was right.
Trying to paint the picture. Yeah. I got you.
That might happen in Colombia.
Yeah, I was about to say. This is a serious session. Right?
Yeah. So she's outside of the bed, and then she's guiding you through this process and putting you in a state of deep trance. And then what takes place is that's a 3 or 4 hour long session, and it gets very intense. There's no food, there's no water, nothing. And so, you know, from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m., there's no food or water or anything. So you have to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Once the session starts, the idea is that once you're in the deep trance state, to actually ask you those very same questions you want an answer to, but your own subconscious answers it.
Was it recorded?
It's recorded. I have 180 minutes of that recording on my phone.
Video?
Voice.
Oh, man. Did you sound different?
I sound slightly different. I'm very, very relaxed.
You're mellow.
Yeah. I was also pretty confident with a lot of the stuff that I was saying or seeing. Like, I saw this whole life of, she took me back, I don't believe in past lives or third eyes, but some people might. But she talked about it, and I was like, oh, whatever. So she basically, when I was in my eyes were closed, she kind of guided me into this slight deep trance state, and I could feel that I was still kind of conscious, but I was very relaxed, is how I would put it. Mm-hmm. And then she asked me, let's go to your past life. And so we're apparently in a cloud and we're traveling, and then we go to my past life, and she's like, when you look down and it's you, what do you see? And I'm like, I see that I'm wearing a yellow straw hat. I have a full sleeve red checkered shirt on, and I'm wearing blue overalls. I have brown boots. And she goes, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm farming. And I'm a farmer. And she's like, are you with somebody? And I'm like, no, I'm alone. And then apparently I had a stable, and I went in the stable and I had haystack.
Oh my goodness.
I'm the opposite of this person, by the way, in real life.
Of course.
It's like every friend, if they hear it, they would be laughing their ass off. They're like, you're the opposite of all. I'm like, not a handyman at all.
Yeah.
No nature. I would die probably. I never even made an egg in my whole life. Microwave to me, like putting something on 3 minutes is like, I'm always proud. That's like cooking to me. Like making popcorn is like, I'm a chef.
Chef Fiordi.
And so
Jeez.
I'm laughing at this point. Like I'm telling her this and I'm laughing crazily.
Does it look like you? I mean, when you see yourself, you're like, oh, this is me.
There's no video, it's just voice.
I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like in your mind.
When I was looking at the past life, it was me.
Okay.
It was me. And that's why it was so crazy. And then I had a horse. And there was a lot of like vivid stuff that I was seeing that I was never like saw it. And then she's like, take me to another important day in that life. And then another important day, I'm like throwing rocks in a river. I'm just fast forwarding through the story to get to the important point. And then she takes me she's like, let's go to another important day in this life. And there's a rabbit that's running. She's like, why is it running? I'm like, I'm trying to hunt it. She's like, what are you hunting it with? I'm like a knife. And she goes, why are you hunting it with a knife? Because I'm like, it's a challenge.
Ah.
Yeah, and I'm like, and she's like, you're never going to catch it. And you know that. And I'm like, I do. And she's like, is that what makes it fun for you? I'm like, yes, it does. And it was just my brain was coming up with this. My subconscious or whatever was coming up with this. And then she's like, let's go to the last day in this life. What do you see? And what I saw was I'm sitting on a red checkered couch. It's kind of broken down. There's a brown table. My legs are kicked up on it. I have a remote control. I'm still in my barn, my stable or whatever. And I have the TV on. It's an old TV with those knobs and the antennas.
Yeah.
Except I'm watching white noise. And she goes, how do you feel? And I said, I feel nothing. I feel numb. And she goes, do you feel young or old? And I said, I feel middle-aged. And then she's like, as we kind of leave this life, she's like, what? She's like, is this the day you died? And I said, yeah. And she goes, what was the cause of your death? And I said, I died on the inside. And then she goes, who's going to take care of the horse? I said, I don't know. She's like, do you know anybody that could take care of it? I said, no. She's like, is the horse alone? And I'm like, yeah. And I just started, like, I had tears coming down my face.
I bet.
And she goes, she's like, you don't have to feel it. You can just watch it. You don't have to experience it. And she goes, what? Now that we're done with seeing this life, she's like, why do you think your subconscious chose to show you this life? And I said, and at this point, out of nowhere, I just started crying with hiccups. And dude, I don't ever cry.
Yeah.
It's been years since I might have cried.
Wow.
And I'm not proud of that. I don't think that's a good thing. But I was just crying with hiccups. And I couldn't even muster out these words, but 2 words came out of my mouth, and the words were wasted potential. And I said, he had so much potential. He just wasted it. And even right now, like, I got goosebumps just saying that, going through it again. But that was a very powerful experience for me.
That's bananas, dude.
Yeah.
The fact that you can see yourself in the past, obviously probably like a different time.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't present day.
It was, I don't know what it was, because it was just, I was in nature the whole time. And so it can be any time.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
And you're chasing a rabbit that you know that you can't catch.
Yeah.
And on your last day, not even necessarily sure if you passed away that day.
Yeah.
Right? But I mean, physically, at least in this whole story, are your thoughts. But it was a day that you felt like you died. That is a crazy experience, man.
that was just the start of it. That was like the first like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It was a 4-hour long session, 3 hours long session.
She went in deep, just uncovering stuff. Like,
it was crazy. Like, so many answers that I gave to myself. So many answers.
Yeah.
It was insane. And it was like, I knew everything. I was confident. Usually I'm like, I don't know. Like, it was fun. Like, my subconscious was like, he should stay in LA. He needs to run a business. And it was crazy. It was like, he needs to run a business and he can't be a loose cannon. And now that he has his health and all those things in momentum, he needs to keep going with it. And he can still travel, but Kazi needs to stay here. Like, okay.
This is how you were talking to yourself? You were talking like that?
Yeah, because she asked permission to speak to my subconscious. And so when she's speaking to my subconscious, she's asking, what should Kazi do? What do you think? So it's almost like I was, even it's almost like if I was asking you about your child and what are the best decisions for your child.
Right.
You would make the right decisions if you were thinking about your child. But a lot of the times we don't have enough self-respect to make the best decisions for ourselves. And so when she spoke to me like that, where my subconscious was talking about myself, I got emotional talking about myself. And like, where I have a potential and I'm not getting enough there or doing enough there, I got emotional. But when I'm talking about myself, my brain's like, oh, you're being vain. Are you really going to get emotional about yourself? When I'm talking from a subconscious perspective about myself, I feel like I'm a little child.
Let me ask you this. Were there any of the answers that honestly surprised you?
Like staying here, that really surprised me.
Yeah.
That was crazy. There were some others. I'm trying to think.
I mean, because I'm just asking that because a lot of times I feel like we know what to do. We just don't do it,
Yes.
And so were there some that were like, oh, I didn't see that really coming.
Here's one. My oldest brother and how important he is in my life. A lot of things that came up are subconscious. And, there was this one time where I needed the keys to the car and I was going to a chess tournament and he wouldn't even give me the keys. And because my car was stuck in ice and snow and he wouldn't drop me off either. He would rather sleep in. And I was, a young kid, and there was like a few more times. But then there was also a time where my mom went crazy, like running around after me, chasing me around the house, like yelling at me, like trying to hit me. And I just kind of ran out of the house. And I was always very emotionally reserved, but I feel like you just keep bottling it up. And I ran out of the house and I went into the car and I remember I just started crying. And my oldest brother, usually he doesn't show up for you all the time for everything. He's not the type of person who'll show up for your baseball game.
Right.
He doesn't look good on paper. But when it really comes down to the brass tacks,
he's there.
Like, really comes down to it, he's there. Mm-hmm. And so that was the time he fought with, he fought with my mom. He got so angry and he just slammed the door. He's like, what are you doing? Like, he's just a kid. And he ran out and he sat in the car with me. And all of a sudden, this dude is socially awkward at most of the times. But at that time, he's just just come here, dude. He's like, I love you. I'm proud of you.
Wow.
He just hugs me. And I'm just crying, dude. It was insane. And that was one of the most important moments. And I had forgotten about it. And that came up. And what was surprising was the question I asked myself was, how important is my oldest brother to me? And the answer was that very important. And then she dug deeper because that's why she does the interview. So she knows about you so she can dig deeper more than the questions you ask. And she's like, what do you need to do at this point? And I said, I know my Kazi knows that his brother isn't going to be the first one to try to heal things and heal the past because he had a worse childhood than Kazi, tougher. Mm-hmm. And so Kazi actually needs to be the first one to heal it. And his brother actually loves him very much. But Kazi just needs to be the first one to go and take that step.
Dude, that's a dope experience though, man.
Yeah.
It's an experience I feel like the majority of people need to have.
I think so.
It's one of those things where it's so easy to brush over those things and those thoughts.
So easy.
I mean, everybody has a checklist, right? Everybody has a thing that they're thinking about for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? But you never almost give yourself that permission to say, all right, let's check in and make sure we're level set to the things that are most important to us.
Yes.
Because a lot of times it takes a tragedy or something crazy, and then everything comes like, oh, you're like back to like center.
And that's chance. That's leaving it up to chance.
100%.
And unless you're lucky enough to have a tragedy.
It's a crazy way to look at it. But yeah, I get it though. I get it.
And it's not a good thing. But like, you know, Tony Robbins was kind of lucky in a good way. I mean, he used it in a very intelligent, because most people crumble, so they're not lucky. But Tony Robbins, when he had tragedy where he couldn't eat food, now he's on his way to feed 1 billion people.
That's right, yeah.
You know, he's fed 300 million people. In the next 7 years, he's going to feed 700 million more people.
He was super poor, right?
Super poor.
Yeah. Once he first got married or something like that, I think he was. Yeah.
I've had situations where, you know, I'm not going to say, oh, my childhood was the worst. I had loving parents. We lived in a great place. We were middle class, so we weren't like poor. But the few bad things that happen actually drive me to do what I do. I actually don't wish I had a perfect childhood, because I wouldn't be who I am today.
You know,
yeah.
Keep on going. I didn't mean to cut you off, man.
No, it's all good. And so I think that those things are actually really important. And tragedy is kind of a thing we get lucked into. And so it's when you do these things, you take away the luck from it. You start understanding your personality, and you can actually change your personality and your thoughts and your needs and your desires to get the things that you truly want, you know, ultimately, like the things that will fulfill you, you know, your big goals and no school class teaches you about emotions. And it's the most powerful driver of us. Podcasts make you feel a certain way. That's why you do them. You've been doing them.
100%.
You don't do them because this is a way to make money or this is a way you can get hurt. Those are like, you justify that with logic.
Right.
They say in sales, and you know this, they say that we actually buy from emotion and we justify with logic. You know, we do everything in life like that, except we're told to put emotions under the rug. Nobody teaches you about emotions. Nobody teaches you how to control them, how to deal with them, how to use them to your advantage. And so most of the times we're in a logical state. And when your professor asks you, what are your top 5 goals? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? What is actually most important to you? You're in a really logical state. And so what you answer is complete bullshit to what is true. And when you're in that emotional state or that subconscious state, those are your true answers.
I think that I love that, by the way.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of times we go to those middle ground places, right? Or those logical answers.
Yes.
Of, these are my top 5 goals because, you know, I want to go out and get the master's degree, and then I'll walk my way through corporate America.
Yeah.
Whenever we know good and well, that's not where we want to be, but it's what is acceptable.
Yes.
And there's something interesting that happens when you're honest with yourself. And I mean really brutally, you know, post-tragedy honesty.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's a clarity that happens there.
Yes.
Like when you go through something that's really traumatic or lose somebody that's important to you, it's like it puts you in this place where like, that shit didn't even matter.
Dude, and that was the thing that hit me about my oldest brother, because normally what would need to take place is and God forbid nothing happens to my brother, but normally my oldest brother would need to pass away for me to actually realize that he was really important, and it would be too late.
Right.
And so doing this, I feel like it just saved me like probably, 40, 50 years of pain and misery and resentment by just feeling it now, feeling it and connecting with it, and then going from that.
Right. It really does change things, man. And that takes us back to the conversation around comfort, man, because that comfort, it would avoid that whole conversation.
Yes.
You have no need to even press into feeling that, because it's not going to feel good. It's going to feel horrible and gut wrenching and everything else.
Yes.
But you won't get to the truth on the other side of what that feels like if you're stuck in comfort land.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Like the few things I know about fear, and I'm not like, every single second I'm chasing fear. I love comfort just as much as everybody else does. But what the thing that I do know about fear is that's where growth takes place, and it should almost be treated as your GPS in life. It's like a navigation. And when it happens, you feel and you start going toward it. Now, what's really messed up is that it's from an evolutionary perspective, fear is like most of the fear that we have now is outdated.
Yeah.
It's not. It's the wrong type of fear. See, before, if you spoke in front of like a tribe of cavemen and you did public speaking and you said one word that was wrong and that pissed somebody off, they'd come and drop a rock over your head and crush your skull in.
It was a real type of fear.
Exactly.
It was like life or death type.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't like this guy anymore. He has to die.
That's exactly why we feel the same fear when we're about to do public speaking now.
Right.
And sometimes I think about cats and it pisses me off. I love cats, but what makes me angry is
like the animal cats.
Yeah, I love cats. I love them, and I have brother has cats. I play with them, but it's like they're always so scared.
Oh yeah, there.
And I'm not like, you've been here for years, and why are you so scared? Like, I'm trying to put you in my lap, and I'm just trying to pet you.
Yeah,
and they're just like, run away.
Yeah.
But aren't we also very irrational and scared of, like, there's a person you want to speak to, you literally won't go up, whether it's a girl you want to speak to, you literally think you're going to die trying to speak to her, or it's Pat Flynn. There were people at the conference that were scared of that. I was scared of that too. Pat, and you don't want to go and do it. You're scared. Those are outdated fears. It might have been true in the caveman times, but it doesn't apply anymore. And so you have to, now fear is almost a sign of what you need to do. So now when you're scared to go and approach that person, that's actually what you need to be doing.
It's so funny that there's very few things where you could, in this day and age, and I'm not going to say all the time, but at most of these places that we go where, like, except for crossing the street or driving onto oncoming traffic because you want to save some time, right? Besides doing some crazy, like, Mission Impossible type of task, where fear is really good for you, like you're saying. I mean, really bad for you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because normally it's these things that we're apprehensive about doing is the growth that we need to kind of get to.
Yes.
Dude, I got some selfish questions to ask you.
Okay.
We're almost about to wrap up because we had this is what we needed to do the first time.
Yes.
But we had to rush it. But things actually worked out better.
Yeah.
Because you had a totally. So I'm still going to play the first episode too.
Cool.
And then we'll come back and clean it up with this one.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about you going down to South, going down to Colombia, leaving LA.
Yeah.
But man, that's really cool that you had that experience to have more clarity around staying.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's fascinating.
It's got to feel really good too, though, to have that clarity.
It does feel good. I still don't have like ultimate clarity. There's still a lot of confusion, but it's definitely more clarity than I had before. And, another thing, again, a lot of this stuff goes to your personality. And
right.
Because my self-worth wasn't attached to the ACTs or my parents' approval of me, while I still love them, that plays out in other factors of my life too. Like for other people, this would be really difficult and they would go to Colombia just because of the fact of that they told everybody that they're going to go to Colombia. They've told literally. So now if they don't go, everybody who didn't believe that they were going to go or that they would be able to go is now laughing and saying, see, I told you so that you wouldn't go.
I can't lie, bro. It'll be really tough for me not to go.
Exactly.
I mean, if I already signed place to stay, I have, plans up.
Yeah.
My whole family knows I'll be living overseas, right?
Yeah.
Internationally or whatever. it would be tough for me to say, all right, man, you know what?
It's very tough.
But you did it though. It takes courage to do that. It takes boldness, man.
And I would say, yeah, and I would correct that a little bit, because it does take courage for somebody who feels that. For me, it's weird how it works, but it's just my self-worth or whatever. It's just not attached to that type of approval at all. I mean, some stuff it is, but to that type of stuff, it's just not at all. And so for me, it actually, like, I'll talk to my mentor and she's going to be like, you told me you were going to leave. And I know, now I changed my mind. And that's it. And so those things not only play a factor in your personal life and whatever, but like in your business and everything.
Is it very empowering?
It's empowering,
yeah,
but it could also be disempowering. Like, for example, I could just as easily say, we're going to be doing 5 YouTube videos a week, come back 3 weeks later, and now I've changed my mind. We're not doing 5 videos a week. We're doing 1 video a week.
Right.
So it could be that as well, because that pressure is sometimes helpful for us, because then we're like, okay, now we're doing, like, you got to do it. So you end up doing it.
Right.
And for me, pressure just doesn't exist until it's very, very real. That's why when people had to go through finals, I would never study until maybe the last day. And I felt zero pressure. And that's bad. That's why most other students would do really well and they would do things way in advance. I wouldn't do them in advance. You know, I was used to like sliding under I always imagined like the door was like closing and I was like a hero of a movie, just like sliding.
Just barely getting through. I got you.
And I would always almost try to create those scenarios because it was fun and it was a challenge, you know, otherwise that was too easy. And so that, you know, plays out, I feel, through your whole life.
You know, man, but you know, I mean, I can totally hear what you're saying, but it's also this moment where I feel like you just took ownership back of your life. You didn't let these other people dictate, you know, just because you told them that they're going to hold this thing over your head. Like, Ozzy, you said you were going to go. You know what I mean?
I know.
You know, and you kind of owned it. Like, I'm taking that back, dude. I'm not going anymore. It's fine.
Yeah.
And I don't give a shit, but if you like my response or not.
I know.
It's kind of nice, though, how I'm looking at it from that standpoint.
It is definitely freeing to me, honestly.
Yeah.
And I also know that a lot of other people, you know, sometimes do, or a lot of the times end up doing the wrong things because of the pressure from outside.
Right.
Like, people choose their spouses because of that reason a lot of the times, and they'll stick with it. You know, some people who are close to me, I won't name anybody, but they literally have a spouse who, because somebody said you're going to break up with them or this is not right for you, whatever, just to kind of like prove those people wrong.
Right. And so I'll be miserable
stay
too.
in that relationship forever.
Yep.
You know, just to kind of prove them wrong or prove some. And so sometimes I see it as like it can be a really bad thing, you know, and so it's scary to me. And so that's why I don't personally do it.
Man, I got some selfish questions for you.
Go for it.
Online courses.
Yeah.
I want to get into it. I want to have my own online course around sales.
Okay.
B2B sales.
Okay.
What's the process like, man? I feel like I'm talking to the guru, so I'm just being extremely selfish of it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Build an audience. Whatever you have to sell, build an audience for it first. And then it doesn't matter what you sell. Selling is very easy. So selling won't come from creating the online course first. And it won't come from creating the product first and then looking for the market. And a lot of people, what they do is like they create an app and then they look for the market.
Right. MVP and then get it out there, right?
Yeah. And so I would suggest audience build. Have an audience, then you can sell an app if you want, then you can sell a course. So if you want to sell a course on B2B, create content on a platform like YouTube about teaching people how to do B2B sales, get them results, give them value. Think about the people who are crushing it in the online marketing space. those people have given massive value to the world, like Gary Vaynerchuk or Grant Cardone. Those are some big names that we know.
Of course.
But if you teach people B2B sales and just build a email list with that, and then if we get tactical with it, I would say that
let's do it.
Not having email lists is the biggest mistake anybody can ever make.
Really?
Yes, because what you sell on social media, you can literally 100x the revenue by just having an email list, because the conversion rates are just horrible on social media. It's how I'll explain it is kind of like this.
Mm-hmm.
Not knowing about you and hearing from you about third-party perspective, and then you recommending a book to me, like, hey, man, you got to listen to 10X. It's a great book. Like, let's say some random person I know or one of my friends is like, Joe said you should read 10X, and I never knew you. I'd be like, yeah, okay, dude, thanks. Never read it.
Right.
But now that I know you at a personal level and we have exchanged our phone information, whatever, and now when you say, yo, check out 10X, I'll read it. That's the difference between social media and email list. Social media is kind of like, it's very just out there, whereas email list is kind of like you've exchanged your phone number with that person you're on. And yeah, the sales are just sales, and the numbers speak for themselves.
Do you recommend starting on trying to build your audience on a certain platform like YouTube over trying to have some other content elsewhere?
I mean, if you're trying to teach people how to grow a business using Instagram, then probably use Instagram.
Yeah, I got you.
You have some advantage there. B2B stuff that you're talking about, LinkedIn sounds like a great place as well.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're creating YouTube content, video content, that's repurposable easily. So you can put it on LinkedIn and YouTube as well. But I would definitely go the route of YouTube, because it's the best video marketing platform. And the reason why I really enjoy the platform is for a deeper reason than just like, did you know 97% of the world is going to be video in a few years by 2022? Like, I can't stand those stats. But the reason why I say,
sure. Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, I feel it, and it's because the energy that you exude here,
yeah,
and how I feel about you right now,
yeah,
that's what makes me want to listen to your advice and buy something from you, or do business with you, or do whatever it is. Mm-hmm. It's your energy and presence. So the best way you can do that is one-on-one with somebody, but that's not scalable.
Right.
The second best way is public speaking. That's still not that scalable.
Mm-hmm.
The third best way is video. And YouTube is the best way to reach out to people and build that one-on-one personal connection with.
I get it.
That's why I say it. So, yeah.
Dude, you're 1,000% right about that, man. Because being able to transfer that energy is everything, dude.
Yes.
It's one of the reasons why I like podcasting, because I can hear how that whole voice fluctuation, and are we chilling, dude? I mean, which is cool too, though, because I might be like in a chill vibe.
Yeah.
But sometimes I want to get hit in the face.
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
I want somebody to kind of bring it.
Yeah.
I like it, and I think video obviously going to cover everything.
Yeah. Covers the entire spectrum. And so,
any tips to actually grow your audience on YouTube? Is it daily content you have to do, or is there?
If you can do more, great.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you have to understand your personality type. I'm obsessive.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's very easy to do 7 videos a week, but not forever, for like 2 months, and just like get ahead of the curve, and then just put it in neutral, and then just do 1 video a week.
Gotcha.
And so if you can go that crazy, if you have the time and capacity, max. But if you want to stay consistent and kind of grow it like that, then, go 5 or 3 videos a week. If you're starting out, I would not recommend doing just 1. I'd say
you got to bring it.
Start with 3.
Yeah.
3 is a good number.
Yeah.
It's simple enough. And keep it really easy on yourself. Don't spend too much time on the thumbnails and the tags and the descriptions and trying to optimize SEO. None of that stuff really matters that much. It's, the only thing I would say is like focus on the title of the video. That's the most important. And then just make good content. and then just make a lot of it, and that's what will grow your audience.
Do you stockpile your actual content?
Stock pop?
I mean, like, do you do like a whole bunch of content in like advance and then kind of roll it out slowly, or is it something that you wake up in the morning?
In the perfect
dropping content.
Yeah, in perfect world, I always dream about having content piled up for
you have dreams
advance.
about it.
Yeah. I'm just like
Dropbox, like, oh man, it's already ready.
Weeks and months in advance, and just releasing it and enjoying my life. Unfortunately, I don't do that. I'm like one video at a time that I do.
Yeah.
But if you can, and you're very systematic and analytical and that type of person, more power to you. Spend a weekend, create a bunch of content, and then just drip it out, 2 or 3 a week.
Dude, this has been phenomenal, man. I'm really glad that we took time out to circle back around, especially after you got this new information and all this insight.
Yeah.
And that's mind blowing. I'm going to go back and listen to this and be like, that really happened. Okay. All right, dope. Man, please tell everybody how to find you, and then we'll go ahead and close out, bro.
All right. So if anybody wants to find me, Cleaver Programmer is the platform, cleverprogrammer.com. That's where you will find me. And then if you want to follow me on Instagram, that's CleverKazi. So it's QAZI at CleverKazi. And I'm in the process of building a personal brand. So by the time you just even type up my name, hopefully you'll find some good stuff.
Dude, we're going to find tons of good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Kazi, this has been phenomenal. Please, you guys got to go check out his content on YouTube. It's booming. We always have chill vibes. I mean, you have your spikes with me.
Yeah.
But dude, like, your videos are heavy.
Yeah.
Every time, I mean, I've gone through a couple now, and it's like, man, you're bringing heat, man. So you guys got to check it out for yourself. Hit them up. Instagram is where you mainly play, right?
Instagram,
like conversations?
I'm playing a lot on Instagram with personal conversations and responding to everybody, and even with the video message. So no promises, but follow me on Instagram, CleverKazi. Yeah, and let me know that you came from Joe. Then I promise I'll send a little personal video message.
Super dope. Kazi, as always, man, this has been a great time again, brother. Appreciate everything, man.
Awesome.
Until next time, you guys be great.